So for those of you just joining us, Anthony, hold on for a hot second. I just want to let people know, if they're just now joining us, what's taking place here and what they're looking at. Live pictures right now out of San Francisco International Airport. Our affiliate KTVU bringing us these pictures. And you're now looking at a scene where they have tried to put out possibly flames, or at least try to control the smoke of a Boeing 777 that crashed there upon landing. This flight coming from Seoul, South Korea, flight 214 on Asiana Airlines. And we understand you're seeing the route right there from Seoul, South Korea, making its way all the way to San Francisco, California. And Anthony Castorani was at a hotel nearby, and he is describing for us, he's on the phone with us right now, he is describing for us what he saw. He just happened to be looking out the window, watching planes come in, was enjoying that. He saw this flight, which by his description didn't appear to be in distress. He saw no emergency or first responder apparatus on the runway as it was coming in. It appeared that it was making a beautiful landing, nose pitched up, but then at the point when the rear wheels touched the runway, Anthony is telling us that the nose wheel did not touch the runway. It appears that there was some sort of problem with the stability of that plane. It started cartwheeling. He saw actually one of the wheels, one of the wings come off as the plane continued to cartwheel before the second wing came off. And he saw the smoke. He saw fire underneath the hull of the plane. And Anthony, if you're still with us, at that juncture, all of that taking place just in a matter of seconds, right in plain sight in your view?
Yes, it happened within seconds. I couldn't even how long it was. It seemed like an eternity at that moment of you watching something this catastrophe happen. You're just kind of taking it in and you're not even timing it. But yes, all within Atlanta, all within, I'm sure, 10, 15 seconds.
Okay, and Anthony, I hate to interrupt you, but now we have a tighter view of the remnants of this plane, and certainly it looks pretty bad. It certainly looks like the midsection of that plane, it doesn't appear to be there intact. You see the emergency workers around the plane there. We heard a description earlier from our Richard Quest that the emergency slides were put into place, which would be an indication that there are indeed some survivors of this plane. But Richard, back with me now, as we look at this with a tighter view, it does seem to be pretty substantial damage there in the midsection of this plane.
From Anthony, we've just heard some excellent information about what he saw. And looking now at the pictures, and I can't see the pictures that you're looking at the moment, but I can see close-ups of the aircraft. These are judging by, and it is somewhat bewildering that people who've just come down the emergency slides immediately turn back and start taking photographs of the aircraft. But that's what we're looking at now. We're looking at on Twitter feeds pictures taken by people, passengers, after they've evacuated from the aircraft. And what we can see now from this 777LR, this plane was delivered in 2006. We now know a lot more about the aircraft. What seems to have happened, judging by what Anthony has said, of course, is that there has been a catastrophic landing, but not a declared emergency. So far, there's no evidence that we're seeing that. Something obviously has happened upon landing, which has caused the main gear to collapse. In doing so, of course, we still see the left wing. The right wing is where the fire has been coming from, and that is where the smoke has come from. And obviously, in the process of the accident, the aircraft has split apart, because what we can't see is the rear tail. We cannot, or at least the pictures I'm looking at, cannot see the tail or the rear of the fuselage, which leads one to assume that obviously, stating the obvious, the plane has split apart upon the crash landing. This is a crash landing by any definition, and obviously now passengers there are survivors. We can see the survivors. We can see pictures that they've taken, and we will now obviously have to work out why, or the authorities, the NTSB, who even as we speak will be on their way with a team. A GO team will have been alerted. That will include not only people from Boeing, it will include people from Pratt & Whitney, which is the engine manufacturer of this particular model. It will include just about, they will include representatives from the NTSB in Washington. It's known as the GO team. The Asiana Airlines will also have their own team that will be on their way the event in San Francisco. At Asiana itself, at their headquarters, to give you an idea of what they will be doing at the moment, they will have senior management, engineering, passenger relations, PR. They will have now congregated in a type of what's known as an epic room, or that's where they're in a closed room where information will flow in and flow out as they deal with this emergency.
Oh, this is a very serious situation. Terrible to see these images right here because, Richard, we are getting a clearer view of the remnants of this plane, and we certainly see a number of first responders that have descended there, and that rear tail that you were talking about, I mean, it is nearly non-existent. I mean, it's unidentifiable, at least from my layman's view, and we're seeing the midsection of the plane, the upper portion, the rooftop, so to speak, of that plane is burned out, and you can see, of course, all of the flame retardant around it. We do see the two wings. Anthony Castorani, who was an eyewitness, had described that he, saw the breakage of this plane while it was cartwheeling. What we're looking at right now, and you can see one of the engines just kind of resting next to the hull of this plane. But Richard, what's fascinating here too is, according to Anthony, who was watching this, he said that there was nothing in place that would infer that there was an emergency landing, even though by definition you are calling it an emergency landing simply because of the problem?
No. I mean, no, I'm not calling it an emergency.
Okay.
It's a crash landing. This is